Hey guys, YouTube says most of you watching aren't subscribed. If that's you, help a small channel grow. Takes a second. I post stories every day.
She said, "Stop being so clingy. We don't need to talk every day." I replied, "You're right, my apologies." Then I gave her the silence she asked for. It only became a problem for her when the car insurance, phone bill, and rent, all paid by me, went silent too. I've always believed that if you're in a serious relationship, you're a team. You lift each other up. If you're the one who can afford to pay for dinner, you pay. If you can cover the big bills to make life easier and less stressful for both of you, you just do it. I never saw it as keeping score. I thought this was just called being a good partner. My ex-girlfriend Maya eventually came to see it differently. She called it the bare minimum. Let me paint you a picture. I'm 31M, a senior account executive in tech sales. I do well. It's a high-stress job, but the pay is good, and I'm good at it. Maya, 28F, and I were together for 4 years. When we first met, she was working a soul-crushing job in retail management. Her dream was to be a freelance graphic designer. She was talented, but she was scared to make the leap. About a year into our relationship, I told her to do it. "Quit your job," I said. "I've got us. I'll cover the rent and the bills. You just take 6 months, a year, whatever you need, and build your client base. Don't worry about the money, just focus on your dream." She was so grateful, she cried. And for a while, it was perfect. I was happy to be the guy who could provide that kind of safety net. I paid the rent on our great apartment. I put her on my phone plan to save her a monthly bill. She needed a reliable car to meet with potential clients, so I bought her a nice, certified pre-owned SUV. I put the title in her name. I wanted it to be hers. But I paid the monthly note and put the insurance on my policy to get a better rate. In my mind, I wasn't just paying bills. I was investing in her and in us. The problem is, her freelance career never really took off. It turned into a permanent state of just getting started. Her daily routine became a caricature of the influencer lifestyle. It was 10 a.m. yoga classes, 1 p.m. brunches with friends, afternoon shopping trips, and maybe, if the creative lightning struck, an hour or two of mood boarding on Pinterest. I'd come home from a grueling 10-hour day of back-to-back sales calls to find her exhausted from a really intense brainstorming session that looked suspiciously like a nap. Her gratitude slowly curdled into expectation. The things I provided were no longer seen as a supportive boost, but as her baseline. 2 years ago, I paid for a week-long trip to Mexico for us. It was a beautiful, all-inclusive resort. The second day we were there, she spent the afternoon pouting because her friend's boyfriend had taken her to the Maldives the month before. "It's just a different level of luxury, you know?" she said, sighing as she looked at her friend's Instagram. I was sitting on a perfect beach, drinking a margarita that I had paid for, and I was being made to feel inadequate. This brings us to the beginning of the end. Over the last 6 months, she started getting distant. She fell in with a new group of friends, all fiercely single and evangelists for the gospel of independence. They preached about not letting a man dim your shine and the importance of radical self-focus. Suddenly, the partnership I was funding became the cage that was holding her back. The texts slowed down. She'd be out with her friends, and I wouldn't hear from her for hours. A simple, "Hey, how's your night?" text from me would be met with a short, cold reply hours later. I tried to talk to her about it. I told her I felt like we were drifting apart. That's when she hit me with the line that started it all. We were in the kitchen. I was making dinner. She was on her phone as usual. I asked if she was excited for the weekend, as I was hoping we could finally have a quiet night in. She didn't even look up from her screen. "God, Ben, stop being so clingy. You're suffocating me. We don't need to talk every day. We don't need to be attached at the hip. I need space." Clingy. I was working 50 hours a week to pay for the apartment she was living in, the car she was driving, and the phone she was ignoring me on. And my reward was being called clingy for wanting to have a conversation with my own girlfriend. A switch flipped in my head. It wasn't a conscious decision for revenge. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated clarity. The guy she saw as clingy was the same guy signing the checks that made her breezy, independent lifestyle possible. Her desire for emotional distance was in direct conflict with her total financial dependence, and she couldn't see the hypocrisy. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just turned off the stove. I looked at her and said, my voice completely flat, "You're right. My apologies." She finally looked up, surprised by my easy agreement. "Oh, okay. Well, thank you for understanding." She thought she had won. She thought she had successfully put me in my place. She had no idea that I wasn't just agreeing to give her emotional space. I was agreeing to give her all the space. The next morning I began the great disentanglement. It felt like a covert operation. I started with the phone. I called our mobile provider, a company I had a very generous corporate discount with. I explained that I needed to change my family plan and remove a line. Her line. I had them port her number over to a new, prepaid account with a $20 starting balance. I set the account details and the new SIM card activation info to be sent to her email address. Phase 1 was complete. Next, the car insurance. One phone call. "Hi, I'd like to cancel the policy for the vehicle with license plate XYZ. The agent confirmed. The policy was terminated, effective immediately. Phase 2 was complete. Finally, the rent. This was the big one. Our rent was automatically paid on the first of the month from my primary checking account. I logged into the apartment's online portal, a place she had probably never seen, and I simply deleted the auto-pay schedule. The account was now set to manual payment. Phase 3 was armed and ready. For the next few days, I gave her exactly what she wanted. Silence. I stopped sending good morning texts. I didn't call her on my way home from work. When we were in the apartment together, I was polite but distant. I was a ghost in a home I paid for. She absolutely loved it. She was thriving. She'd come and go, barely acknowledging me, high on her newfound freedom from her clingy boyfriend. She was blissfully unaware that the entire infrastructure of her life was being quietly dismantled around her. The first domino fell 4 days later. She was in the living room, trying to FaceTime with one of her friends. Her phone wasn't connecting to the network. She tried to make a call, and it went straight to an automated message. She checked her email. I watched from my desk as her expression went from confusion to a deep, furrowed brow anger. "Ben," she yelled. "What happened to my phone? It's saying my plan has been canceled." I swiveled around in my chair. "Oh, that? Yeah, I removed your line from my plan this week. A shared family phone plan felt a little clingy, you know? Seemed like a contradiction to the space you needed. I had your number moved to a prepaid plan so you could have more independence. The login info should be in your email." She stared at me, speechless. Before she could formulate a response, I put my headphones on and went back to work. The second domino fell the following week. It was a Tuesday night. There was a knock at the door. It was a police officer. My heart jumped for a second, but then I saw Maya's car parked haphazardly on the street and a tow truck pulling up behind it. The officer explained that he'd pulled her over for an illegal U-turn, and when he ran her plates, it came back that the vehicle had no active insurance policy. Maya came storming into the apartment behind him, her face bright red with rage and humiliation. She had a massive ticket in her hand. "My car has no insurance," she screamed at me, right in front of the cop. I could have been arrested. They're impounding the car. I looked at the officer, then back at her. "That's correct," I said calmly. "I canceled the insurance policy on that vehicle last week. Covering the insurance for someone who needs their space felt like a financial overstep. I assumed you would want to handle your own policy. It is your car, after all." The officer just raised his eyebrows, handed her another ticket for driving uninsured, and walked away. She spent the rest of the night screaming at me. I spent the rest of the night enjoying a documentary on World War II. The final domino, the big one, fell on the first of the month. She had been giving me the silent treatment for a week, which was, frankly, a gift. Around noon, she got an email. I knew because I got one too. The subject line was in big red letters: "Rent payment overdue. Action required." This was the one that broke her. This wasn't a ticket or a phone bill. This was eviction territory. She stormed into my home office, her face pale. "The rent," she whispered, her voice trembling. "You didn't pay the rent." "That's not true," I said, turning to face her. "I paid my half this morning, but our joint auto payment is no longer active. Your half is now overdue." "My half? I can't afford half the rent," she cried. "You know that. You've always paid it." I leaned back in my chair. Yes, I did, and in return, I was in a committed, loving relationship with a partner who at least pretended to enjoy talking to me every day. You ended that arrangement. You wanted space. You wanted to not be suffocated. Well, I'm not sure what's more suffocating than having your rent, your car, and your phone paid for by the clingy guy you want space from. So I did you a favor. I removed myself from your finances completely. You're free now. Independent. No strings attached. Isn't that what you wanted? The story ends pretty much how you'd expect. She had a complete and total meltdown. She couldn't pay the rent. She couldn't get her car out of impound. Her phone only worked on Wi-Fi. Her entire, comfortable, subsidized life had been built on the foundation of the very clinginess she despised. And I had just pulled the foundation out from under it. I moved out a month later. I was tired of the toxic environment. I left her to deal with the angry landlord and the eviction notice that eventually came. Last I heard, she had to move back in with her parents, driving her mom's old minivan because her license was suspended from the uninsured ticket. I guess she finally got all the space she could ever want. Turns out, it looks a lot like her childhood bedroom.